Broadcasting from an undisclosed location under a farm pond somewhere in the Midwest. Your host is Jim Crowley. This is Slickfish Radio.
And here we are. Welcome back to another edition of Slickfish Radio. I am your charming, well, I don't know. Well, I'm your host anyway. I'm Jim Crowley. Hey, welcome to the show. Glad you guys are here. Looking forward to tonight's show. We're gonna have Justin Lucas on, and it's been about 3 years since we had Justin. I can't believe time went by that fast. I can't believe it's been that long since I've had him on. Love talking to this guy. What a great technician in the sport of bass fishing, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. And make sure wherever you guys are, if you want to chime in, got some people coming on tonight already. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, as soon as you get on here, let us know where you're at. And we always look forward, as we always tell you, we wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for all of you. And so I want to thank all the folks, besides our awesome audience that help bring Slickfish Radio to you each and every week. And that is our friends at Lure Parts Online, our friends over at Casking, Wire to Fish Coffee. You know me, I'm always loaded up with caffeine there. Our friends over at Mudhull, Dakota Lithium, and Shields. And hey, Rodney Hanger just came in. Hi, Rodney. How you doing, man? Signing in from Bloomington. Okay, good. Just right up the road. So glad to have you here, Rodney. So hopefully I can get to see some of you more at the shows this year. We still got a bunch more to do. I think I've got one or two in Wisconsin still and a couple more in Illinois. So looking forward to that. It's always going to be a lot of fun. I love being out there live. We also got a bunch of YouTube video and TikTok videos coming out in the next couple of weeks with some new products as well as some cool tips and tricks and maybe even get in some ice fishing. And we'll just see how that goes. But no more further ado. I am going to bring in the guy that I am just glad that he was able to join us tonight. Justin Lucas, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Jim. I cannot believe it's been so long since we did a show, but it has. Time doesn't lie.
No, it doesn't. I was looking back over the stuff when I went because the last time you were so good to do the show with last time, I remember the crib being in the background, and you told me, you go, "Hey, if I got to run, man, my wife's having a baby." I'm like, "Well, then what are you doing this show for?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but that was crazy. But you're like me, man. You never pass up an opportunity for press and to talk fishing, and I sure appreciate it. And brother, those kids are getting big, dude.
I know 7 and 3 now, and it's a lot of fun. It's such a fun age for both of them right now. So just really enjoying that when I'm home from tournaments, at least.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, does your family travel with you on the road sometimes, or I know everybody's a little bit different. How do you make that dynamic function?
We actually used to camp a lot. So we used to take a fifth wheel, and when we had our first son, we were doing that. When we had the second son, it's a little bit harder, even in a 40-foot fifth wheel with two kids in there. So, originally that was part of the reason for me moving to Alabama is that I knew if I wanted a family, living in California was going to be really tough. And I just needed to be in a spot where I could be back in a day's drive from almost anywhere, at least where we have tournaments, So they're not traveling with me as much anymore. The kids like their routine, and mom likes her routine too. So I don't blame her. And it's nice for me because I'm able to focus on fishing when I'm at a tournament. It's really hard getting off the water and trying to play dad when you got to study maps and eat and get all your gear ready and everything rigged and ready for the next day. So it's really hard to perform at a high level. Not that they're distractions, but they kind of are when you want to be dad too. So it's that part was tough getting on the road, with them, and we just made that decision to, for me to start traveling. I travel with Chris and Bobby Lane and have a great time traveling with those guys. So
I was
never,
gonna, so
never
you're
a dull moment with the Lanes, man.
I was gonna. Now, I've just run across those guys a couple times at ICAST. I don't know them, but just seeing stuff on TV once in a while, I'm like, that's got to be a whole nother handful family right there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm, half of a lane at this point. Chris lives just down the road from me. Their dad calls me before every tournament, in the morning before takeoff. So we have a really good time. They're a great family, great people. Um, they are 100% great dudes, and they would do anything for you. So and they're funny. They're a hoot, man.
Oh, it's got to be just watching Chris. I hope I can run into him at ICAST because I would love to get him on the show and just
You
pick his
should.
brain.
You should get
I would.
Bobby on too.
Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe we can hook that up later on. Now that you've been on, you can throw a good word in for
Absolutely,
me.
I
And
will do that.
but I appreciate that. But you know what's so funny is just watching him, win that recent tournament. And that was just old school. You guys had my blood pumping and in this recent one, man, because it was old school flipping reads in Florida and what the lanes do, right? And so this was right up their alley. And I know this one wasn't so good for you, but you knocked out a heck of a finish at Conroe.
Yeah, this last tournament wasn't that great really on the second day. The first day wasn't bad. I caught a 7.5 and a 6 and some nice fish, but the second day, man, it was just one of those days you really you try and stay away from, and eventually it's going to catch up to you. You're going to have some of those. But Conroe was a great tournament. It was really nice starting the year off with the new format, getting the top 10. And we'll turn the ship around. I mean, this is just one event. I'm not worried about it. The weird thing about Harris Chain was like there was probably only a couple of checks actually cut in Harris.
Mhm.
Every almost everything was done in Griffin and Apopka. So I missed the boat by trying to commit myself to Harris, and it was just a bad decision. But you learn from it and move on.
Yeah, and I had seen we were at a sports show early this weekend and the guys are saying, we heard there was a fish kill in Apaca and everything. And I wonder if that was on some people's mind. And I know some of the guys did see that, but it was nice to see, so many good quality fish from certain areas of that lake to really shine out. It was really cool to see that. And what I was going to ask you about is I was wondering when this format was going to change, when everybody started talking about it last year. You're one of the guys who instantly came to my mind because I've always felt you have that old school ability, but yet you picked up on the forward facing sonar stuff and made it part of you adapted that tool to your tackle box. And now that you have both, you can flip back and forth. I really see this is just my opinion, but I really see this format fitting your style of you're like a mechanic to me. You can go in and fix what's wrong. And I'm going to be really interested to see the rest of the season because if anybody can figure out that thing, and I'm not just blowing smoke up you because you're here. I'm just telling you, I really do think this rule change is going to favor you. How did you come into the season feeling? What was your feeling about it?
I was feeling really good about it. I felt like enough time had gone by and enough people had spoke their mind, on the internet, basically,
Sure.
uh, that, I felt like it was time something is done about it. And I feel like MLF made a great compromise because they didn't say we're getting rid of it completely. They said, hey, you can use it for 33% of the year, basically. But the other 66%, you're going to have to show us that you can catch them without it. So you can't just be a, one dimensional fisherman. And that's really important to me, too, because Angler of the Year has always been very important to me ever since growing up.
Yeah.
I watched Skeet and Aaron and the guys from out west win it. And I was always proud of their versatility, that they were able to showcase out there. So um, when the new rule came out, I was all for it. I thought it was great. I didn't know how much I would love it until we actually got to Conroe, and I was able to turn that thing off and not even think about looking at it and just make a cast and feel my crankbait hitting grass and make a cast
Yeah.
too far to the left, and I'm like, oh, there's no grass over there. I got to cast back to the right 5 feet. So it was very refreshing. In a competition aspect, knowing that everybody else is in the same boat. Uh, because you always felt like you couldn't take your eyes off of it, even if you really weren't watching fish and eat your bait or anything like that off of it. It was just that there might be one piece of cover that sticks out further or just something. You just never wanted to take your eyes off it. Now we have to for 2/3 of the day, and that's a big deal.
You know, it's really interesting that you say that because, I've talked to other guys. This is going to be the first year I'm going to have it on my boat. I've always been, not that I didn't like it. I think it's awesome. I love it. I've been in the boat with guys that have done it. But filming a show compared to fishing tournaments, I didn't really need it. I'm going to add it this year just because I think it will give the viewer something else besides everything that we're doing. But, I've heard that. And you said that, thank God that thing was off where I didn't have to look at it. And I heard it can be pretty addicting sometimes and almost take your attention away from what's going on. As somebody who's used it extensively, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think so. You might miss a birds diving, 200
Right.
feet away
Yeah.
or 300 feet away, or you might miss some type of clue that would have, tipped you off to something, but it's just not worth it. If you can use it, it's almost like you just have to keep it on. Like I said, not even necessarily for the fish, but the structure, just anything that, that thing might show you where you can make a cast in front of the boat and your odds are always greater. If you can make that cast in front of the boat before you go over the top of a piece of cover or whatever, you have way better odds of getting the fish to bite. So, yeah, I don't know. I like where we're at. The first two events so far have been really fun, and we have a great schedule coming up.
Oh yeah.
We have Lake Murray here in a couple weeks, and it just took 31 pounds to win there the other day.
That's
So
crazy.
that place is fishing tremendous right now. It's really really good, and scope will play a little bit, but I think you'll see a lot of fish caught with crankbaits and traditional stuff there too. A lot of big ones doing it.
Have you found that certain fish react better to when, or do you rely on, or not rely on, but do you use live scope more for largemouth, smallmouth, or spotted bass, or does it completely determine on water clarity and time of year?
No, I would use it for everything. I've seen it work in every condition now. It's unbelievable. I've caught fish with it in 2 feet of water, 50 feet from the boat, dirty water, obviously out really deep, all three species. Yeah, I mean, if you can use it, you have to be using it in a tournament, and
Yep.
that's why I like some type of restriction at least, to limit it some because it's so obviously, we go to Conroe and it's so dominant. I've seen a few different stats, but it was like 80% of the fish caught in the entire day were caught in one period versus the other
Wow.
two. So that's how
Yep.
dominant it is. But, that being said, you go to Florida, and Florida doesn't traditionally set up great for
Right.
forward facing sonar. It is a player and it can be a player. But, there was a lot of guys that didn't really even use it at our last tournament. You didn't have to. Bobby never turned it on
Yep.
and he won the tournament. So a lot of it is scheduling, time of place, time of year. But we went to the Chowan River last year. I did
Mhm.
not think it would be one with scope there, and sure enough, Drew Gill, blew
Yeah.
everyone away. So,
Yeah.
and
Just
he's incredible with it. I mean, I think he's the best there is with it. Drew
yeah.
Gill, he is absolutely insane.
I've known Drew since, before he started in. I met him at a high school event, and just talking to him, I'm like, I got done, and this is before everything got, he really got big into it and everything.
Sure.
And just the way he looked at things, and I'm thinking, I'm talking to a 19-year-old kid, and he just gave me a headache.
Yeah.
Just because of his knowledge and the way he looked at things, and I was thinking to myself, wow, this will be interesting. And I never thought, you don't know. I mean, you don't know. I mean, I met Jacob Wheeler years and years ago too, and you just don't know, what happens. And it's really been interesting to see him evolve like this. But you were always good with the drop shot bait. Well, one of the tools that I feel you're really good with, and you were throwing that new stunner jerkbait, or what was new back then, from Berkeley. Was that
Yeah.
one of the major tools when you started using that, or the drop shot, or I guess what I'm asking is, what are some of your favorite baits to use when you decide you're going to use forward facing?
Yeah, I mean, I do love throwing a jerk bait on forward facing sonar. I catch a lot of fish doing that. Of course, now the jig head minnow,
Yep.
that is extremely, extremely dominant. And actually, one thing that's really fun is throwing an A rig. I live right here, close to Lake Gunnersville,
Yep.
and it's easy to see that thing on scope. If you can't find the A rig on scope, your settings are messed up.
Are really
Uh,
bad.
Yeah, you better check your settings if you can't find the A rig on scope. So, but it's a blast. You go out here to Gunnersville, you let that thing sink down 5, 8 feet above the fish, wherever you see them, 10, 12 feet. You let it sink, you keep it above their head a little bit, and you start reeling that thing and watch them shoot up at it. I mean, it's one of the funnest ways to catch them with scope, to be honest with you. But you know, there's several different techniques that are dominant. Nico rig, drop shot, like you said, of course, all that stuff. It all plays, and all those techniques can definitely catch them on forward.
Now Redcrest is coming up not too long away. And is that on Gunnersville this year
It
or
is, yes,
yeah,
sir.
and yeah, so that's gonna be an interesting event. I think that's gonna be because that place can show up with some monster fish. Ted Koskis came on. Hi Ted, how you doing? And so what are you looking forward to? I mean, without going into everything, but I mean, what are you thinking is gonna happen the way the temperatures and the weather is going?
It's probably going to be a full blown spawn deal. It's the first week of April. Generally speaking, the first or second week of April is our biggest spawn here at Gunnersville. So I'm fully expecting it to be spawn. Shouldn't have to use scope at all. Should be tons of fish biting. We have a 2 pound minimum in that event. So there's going to be plenty of 2 to 5 pound fish out there to be caught. And they'll all be up shallow. You won't have to fish out. I don't think you'll have to fish out deep. I say that, and Drew Gill, he'll win it. I don't want to say you it can't be won, but
Never say never, right?
you should be able to win that tournament. Fishing shallow, power fishing, and maybe a little bit of, just wacky rigging, throwing a weightless general around, something like that up shallow too.
Yeah, that could be. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm thinking, man, that could be a flat out whack fest, man.
It could be.
That could just be some fun stuff. And then you guys got heavy hitters. And that was one question I wanted to ask you about heavy hitters is how do for people who don't know, how do people qualify for heavy hitters every year? How do they get in? Because I hear guys all the time going, "Oh, that's a heavy hitters fish," but I don't hear them discussing the rules so much. So could you go over that?
Yeah, that's a great question that really doesn't get talked about, but it's pretty simple. So at every event, you take your biggest fish, and then over the course of 7 Bass Pro Tour events, that total weight, your biggest bass from each event, if you make the top 30, you qualify for heavy hitters. Basically, is how it works. So you got to catch some nice ones to make it.
Yeah.
You got to catch some good fish. I think I caught a 4.5 at Conroe and a 7.6. So I'm at 11.14. I'm in 11th in the standings right now. So we're off to a
Okay.
good start. I always love making that event. It's such a fun
Sure.
event, such a fun event, and I've done well there. Almost won it a couple years ago. I've won big bass, which pays huge in that one. So yeah, I'm hoping that's always a goal for the year. Is making obviously red crest, making heavy hitters, and trying to win an event as well.
Now, as heavy hitters, when you get big fish there, I forgot, is it 25 or 50,000? What
Now it's
for?
it's 10,
Okay.
25, and 100. But yeah, it was 25, 50, and 100, and I won the $25,000 one. I only caught one fish a couple years ago at Caney Creek. It's really tough fishing, but the one I caught was an 8.5 pounder. I'm like, dude, if you're gonna weigh one bass, that is the one to weigh.
You
I
know
drove
what?
home with 29 grand. I got 4,000 to show up, 25 for this fish. I drove home like I won the tournament, and I finished like 19th place.
Well, heck yeah. I've never been one to kiss a fish. I do believe I would have got that one's number, dude.
A
I'm just
hundred percent.
that is one heck of a fish. So
Yeah.
let me just get this right. So you take all 7 events and then they add your biggest fish from each event. Is that how you
Yep.
said?
That's
Okay.
right. Yep. So
Oh man.
it's pretty simple, how the calculations work
Yep.
out. But
Yeah, it's hard when you're fishing that shallow unless you're really on a river a lot of times where you got current close by that can reload because that but I think it was what were you throwing? I didn't see what you were throwing. I just saw you. I heard the of the hook set and I'm like, "Oh, he just stuck a good one," and then I do something. I didn't see.
yeah,
What were you throwing?
I was dragging a 5 inch Berkeley Power Hog, so it's just a big
Yep.
creature bait. I put a 5/16 weight and 20 pound fluorocarbon and a flipping stake, and basically was just pitching it to those walls where they were bedding hopefully bedding. The water was too dirty. That's why I was using such a big bait. But I would just pitch it up to the walls and just work it back real slow, reel it in, make another pitch, work it back real slow, and just kept doing that. And then when I would get, in between a good section of dock where there was just seawall, I would actually get up and parallel it, make a cast down the wall, and reel the bait really slowly down through there, and caught some nice ones doing it. Like I said, the first day. But if I had some more canals that I knew it had fish in them, it would have been a good pattern to, go try and do somewhere else. But you don't know if other people caught them there either. So
Right. I know seawalls like that. Do you guys find them down there too, hanging off those ladders? Because as you were approaching up to that ladder, that's when you caught that fish, and I'm thinking, before you there was that tree. I remember hanging on one side, and you pitched in there. I'm like, man, that ladder looks really good right there. And then you just stuck one off there, but I'm sure they hang around those. Did you have any off that during that? Because that's a good time of year, obviously, to catch them off those things.
Yeah, so I did catch a couple of them actually close to ladders. I actually caught that fish right next to a white PVC pipe. If you watch the video, so that's like an irrigation pipe that people suck the water out to, spray their yard down, whatever, water their yard. But I don't know if it kind of creates a clean bottom beneath it from sucking water. But I found that a lot of those pipes, anytime you came to a white PVC pipe off the seawall, you better make a cast.
The other thing, and I'm sure you found too, when people have those black water pipes that come off, off those houses, and everyone, and there's been a couple, there's been more than a couple times, but there's a couple lakes that I've been to when they do that. If you can get that bait right down to where that thing drops down right underground, sometimes 100%. They add a piece of concrete and tie them down there. And I've caught fish off those, and it seems like you're 30 feet away from the wall or nothing. But if you find that sweet spot and there's a fish on it, man, they just crack it.
Yeah, you dang right, man. I agree with you.
That's just fun. Hey, we're going to take a break. It's about 2.5 minutes, and we'll be back right after this. Got some more fun to go here with Justin Lucas. Justin, thanks again for joining us. We'll be back 2.5, 3 minutes. Be right back right after this with Justin Lucas.
Located in Springfield, Illinois' largest selection of sports and sportswear, hunting, fishing, specialty shops and services, a 65-foot Ferris wheel, 16,000-gallon saltwater aquarium, and industry-leading knowledgeable employees. You don't take chances at Shields, ever.
At Lure Parts Online, we have everything you need to make your own lures, tie your own flies, pour soft plastics, and more. Easy ordering ensures you get your products quickly. You can build all you need to create your own angling success at Lure Parts Online. Cast King, fueled by innovation through novel concepts and ingenious designs, markets directly to consumers with unprecedented cost-effective e-commerce practices, cutting costs by 30% more on average. Cast King empowers anglers of all skill levels to achieve things never thought possible. Find out more at castking.com. Mudhole is your #1 source for custom fishing rods. Mudhole is the world's largest supplier of rod building supplies, information, education, and instruction. The best components and brands you trust, including MHX, CRB, American Tackle, Pro Products, Fuji, AFCO, and more. It's easy to build your own fishing rods at mudhole.com. With 25% of net profits donated to faith-based and clean water initiatives, Wire to Fish Coffee was founded by folks who love Jesus, a good day of fishing, and great coffee. With every bag of Wire to Fish coffee, you support clean water, the sport of fishing, and helping others with a better quality of life. Find out more, wiretofishcoffee.com. Believing quality is measured by lifespan, harnessing their unique chemistry, engineering, and know-how, Dakota Lithium lasts 4 times longer, powering your passions and backing it up with an 11-year warranty. Find out more at dakotalithium.com.
Hi, this is Jim Crowley. Make sure to catch my other show, Jim Crowley Outdoors, where we travel across North America pursuing anything that swims.
We always detail our equipment and techniques and more, all in the pursuit of helping you to become a better angler. Jim Crowley Outdoors can be seen on Wire to Fish TV Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sling, Flex, Sports Tribal, Distro TV, Local Now, and more streaming stations.
Hey, and here we are. We are back with Justin Lucas. Thanks again, buddy, for being on here tonight. Really look forward to talking to you when we finally set this up. I'm kind of glad it came in between tournaments.
Yes, sir.
So we got some more people commenting on here. Oh, my neighbor across the street. Hi, Karen. How are you? Jay Beppa says pipe makes sense. Lake Fort, paint tires white and get on those. And Ted Cochran says, great show again. Well, thanks, Ted. I sure do appreciate that. Hey, Justin, I wanted to talk to you about, I was looking through some of your videos today and I saw one of the coolest things, and it's from one of your sponsors, and it's Bolt. And I thought that was really cool can you explain that about putting your key into locks and how they do that? That's awesome.
I don't know how they do it, but I know at least how it works, So Bolt locks, they make all different kinds of truck, keys that you can use for automotive, marine, whatever, padlocks, trailer locks, hitch locks, all that stuff. What's really cool is that the first time you remember your truck key, and even if you have a key fob and you push start, there's still you probably still have an actual key in there. So anytime you use one of these locks for the first time, it remembers your truck key, and it makes my life a million times easier because I have
awesome.
five, 6 of these locks on my truck and boat, and I just use the same key for every one of them. So it's great. They're like the same price as any other lock out there. Right. They're not crazy expensive and just extremely convenient.
One is your non-alcoholic beer company.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, the long story short is a couple of years ago, I got home from our last tournament of the year, and I'm like, man, I got to get in shape. My boys they're running me all over the place. I want to be able to keep up with them. I was 10, 12, 14 pounds overweight. And so I got this Garmin watch. I start running, really focusing on health. And I would still have a couple beers here and there, whatever, a couple drinks. But what I noticed is I would have a couple drinks, and I didn't tell my watch or anything, but I would wake up the next morning and essentially even just 2 drinks be hungover. Like my sleep scores would go in the tanks. Everything was bad, right? Like my heart rate would stay elevated. I couldn't get into deep sleep. Therefore, I wake up the next day feeling tired and groggy, and I'm wondering why. And it was even just 2 drinks would do it to you. So I actually took some friends on our pontoon with their kids. And this guy, he runs some marathons and stuff. And he's like, dude, I got this non-alcoholic beer you need to check out. He hands me one. I'm like, that thing tastes really good. And I'm like, this is a game changer. Like I can have one of these and take my kids on the pontoon and drive them around, and I don't have to worry about anything. So, I don't want to be out there, my kids on the pontoon and drinking alcohol and trying to tow them. That's a mess, right? So I think just, maturity aspect, health aspect, all that stuff said, it just randomly happened where they were actually talking to MLF and they asked to talk to me, and it all came together. I'm like, I'm a happy customer. I will be, whether you guys want to work with me or not. Yeah. But it's a phenomenal product. And now it's one of those things where like I'll go somewhere and I bring them and people are like, oh, you're drinking non-alcoholic beer? I'm like, and then afterwards they text me, hey, what was the name of that stuff again? I'm like, yeah, I know you're going to go try it now. It's all good. But
yeah, because it's Athletic Brewing, and we've got a Binny's not far from the house, and I'm like, I'm going to go see if they have it over there, because I have noticed the older that I get, if I go past 2 to 3 beers, dude, it's not good.
It's not good.
You have to stay really, really hydrated, and it's tough to do that. So like 2 anymore, I'm like a big party animal at 2 beers. I'm done. That's it.
Yeah.
But I don't like that feeling anymore. And I noticed that when you said that, when I said non-alcoholic, I'm gonna have to ask them about it, because if it tastes like regular, hey, 1 or 2 of those with dinner, and that'd be awesome.
It satisfies what you're looking for, in my opinion, and you don't wake up feeling like crap the next day. So I'm all about it. I'm all about trying to be as healthy as possible and try and stay on top of my A game out here on tour. And I'm not going to do that by
Sure.
having some beers out there. So
Yeah.
I enjoy the Athletic Brew, non-alcoholic.
Well, I'm going to look at that because I'm into bike riding big time, and the same
There
thing. And
you go. Yeah, absolutely.
I love to ride, man. And you're kind of defeating the purpose sometimes if you have. It's just not good. Hey, I wanted to. I was looking back through some of your stuff, and one thing I noticed from last year, you had that mega bag, and I wanted to talk about that. And that was from Santee Cooper, I think. If I remember, six fish for like over 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Dude, I missed that one. What the heck happened? That's all.
So
That's insane.
I know, man. I think I had my best 5 was 37.5, I think. And then my
Oh,
best 6, which I only caught 6 that day, and I only fished like half the day, which is crazy to even think. But 6 was like 42 something, so 7 pound average when you get to 6. But basically, I'd been catching all my fish shallow in that tournament, and it got cold that day. And I go and try and fish all my shallow stuff, and nothing's happening. Well, I have some brush piles marked out there in 15 feet of water, kind of out in front of my shallow stuff. And I think a lot of those big fish pulled off of the shallow stuff, moved back out to deep. Because the first few brush piles I pulled up on, I caught an 8, a 5, an 8, a 5, and a 7, or something ridiculous. Like I remember at one point, my guy's like, "Hey man, you got 4 fish for like 28 pounds right now." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
that's
Because it happened in
insane.
like 30 minutes. It was wild. But I caught them all on forward facing sonar, shaking a minnow, which is, it's kind of crazy. It's my biggest bag ever, but it's not the coolest way to catch them ever. So I still feel a little more proud about my 35 pounds, 12 years ago at Lake Fork that I caught because that was pre forward facing sonar. So it feels a little different to me.
But still, you had to set the hook on. You set the hook on a chicken minnow, and for an 8 pounder, nothing moves.
Yeah.
It
Let me
just
say this. It might not have been as special as the Lake Fork 35 pounds, but it still didn't suck. All right. So it was a good time.
there's no way. The thing is, so I just put this in perspective for you because of the part of country you're in, the part of country I'm in. So Illinois, you've got 6 fish for 42 pounds right there, dude. We can win like 4 tournaments in Illinois. 42 pounds. So
Oh, that
when
ain't
you
right, man.
but no, it's not when you say it didn't suck. No, that would not suck. That would be 100% number one on a do not suck list, dude. That's 100% no suck. That
Yeah.
that is just absolutely awesome. So since we so what Mark Gessler just said, what's this? He said the Wild Run IPA. Oh, so he's talking about
Yeah, he's
athletic.
talking about athletic. It is good. Wild Run's great. Upside Dawn is great, and the light is really good too. But he's right. The Wild Run, they all have great flavors. They're awesome.
Yeah, Matt, great to see you. Thanks for joining us for another show, man. I always like your comments. Appreciate that. So go back. All right, so we're gonna even though this one didn't suck at 42 pounds, let's go back. Tell me about the 35 pounds. Tell me about that one.
Well, that was the first week of May. It was one of the Toyota Texas Bass Classic
Okay.
tournaments. And this is before a swim bait like really got popular. This is right after Paul Elias won on an A rig. There wasn't that many people throwing a swim bait on a big jig head, 3/4 ounce, something like that, hollow belly style. And went out there, found some giant schools of bass on Lake Fork, and gosh, I had 97 pounds, I think.
Oh,
Excuse me, 97 pounds for 3 days, and got third or fourth in the tournament. It was
oh my
wild.
goodness.
It was insane, man. So that was a really cool week. That was probably the best week of fishing I've ever had in my life. Because had we gone another day, it was like I was legitimately tired of catching 5 pounders. That sounds terrible, but it's the only time in my life I've ever said that. I'm like, another 5 pounder? Come on, man. I need a 7.
Yeah, yeah. Don't say that again on my show. Are you kidding me?
It was bad. It was
That's
bad.
awesome, man. That is absolutely awesome. You were talking about the swim baits, and I know you like throwing I mean, that's just one of the tools that you like is a swim bait too. Now, some of the bigger glide baits, or actually the one I wanted to talk to you about is because I've been seeing it in the stores like crazy, is that cull shad.
Oh
And I
yeah.
know you've got some experience for that. So what would your setup be for that cull shad? And when would you go, hey, I think I need to throw this thing today?
So I'm gonna like that bait on warmer days. Not post frontal, not high barometer. Barometric days, whatever. Like you want low pressure, clouds, wind, or stable weather. And you probably want the water temp. At least probably around 50 or a little higher. I would say upper 50s, low 60s is the magic for that. I throw it on a 7.5 foot flipping stick, 20-pound fluorocarbon, a 6:8 to 1 gear ratio reel, and I just throw either albino or hitch. So I
Mhm.
throw albino if it's cloudy, low light, dirtier water, or I throw hitch if it's cleaner water and the sun's out. That's pretty much all I do. I keep it really simple. It's just one of those baits. I've had a lot of success with that coal shad. It's one of those baits I keep tied on all the time now. And, there might just be that 15-minute window where everything gets right to throw it, but you better have it on if the timing is right.
I mean, especially, and that's going to be obviously probably one of your go-tos for a heavy hitters fish. I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
you, because that's a and so kind of what I got from that too is if you got stable weather like that, obviously that is going to play into that. But you're looking for that one big bite. That and isn't there a couple sizes in that thing?
Yeah, there's a 6 and an 8 inch, but as
Mhm.
a tournament guy, I really like the 6. If I was just
Okay.
having fun trying to catch a big one, I'd throw the 8. But the 6 inch is great because you still catch 2 and 3 pounders all day, with that, and you still get the chance of the big ones too. I've caught several 8 pounders with it now.
Geez, no, that's absolutely awesome. Well, buddy, I sure appreciate. I hope you had fun tonight because I sure did, and I
Yeah, we
think
don't we don't need to wait 3 years again. We need to do it
no,
sooner.
no, we're not. Matter of fact, when you win one this year, I'm calling you right away. We're just going to have you come
Sounds
back
great.
and
Sounds
talk
great.
on it. Before you go, please, you've got you're wonderful on social media, especially with your teaching and laying things out for people. And I always think education is just such a big deal, whether it be for experienced anglers or collegiate anglers. I think that's a big deal, and I honestly do think you're one of the best out there. Who's consistently puts out solid information that people can
Thank you.
learn from.
Thank you.
Can you please tell people where they can find more of your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I do YouTube. I've put out quite a few videos this off season, so there's quite a few stuff on there. During the tournament season, I don't mess with the tournaments, but when I have some time this spring, I'll put some other videos out there, and I do a lot of teaching there. Most of my stuff is teaching stuff, and then of course
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook, and even Twitter, X. Even TikTok. Uh,
Sure.
Anytime I have a video that I can put on all the platforms, I will. And like you said, a lot of my stuff is teaching. I'm not Gerald Swindle. I'm not the funniest guy out there,
No, me
but
neither.
I think my forte, my spot is the knowledge and being able to share that with people and help people catch more fish because that really does that
You
really
always
satisfies me.
yeah, and you can tell because it excels when we stay in our wheelhouse.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, and you are definitely better at that. Well, I hope this year I run into you at ICAST. I was looking last year, but I'm sure like me, it was this. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. It was crazy, and that's how that event is. But if I can run into you sometime this year, it'd be good just to stop and say hi.
Please
For
do. I will be there. Please
And
do.
yeah, and so I'm gonna try and make a point to do that. But thanks again, buddy. Like I said, I sure do really appreciate you taking your time. I'm glad the family is doing so well. God bless you. I really truly hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the season. I'll be pulling for you, and I hope we talk in the near future.
All right, Jim. Thank you, and hey, congrats on all your success too over the last few years. You're doing great, man.
Thank you, buddy. I sure
Thank you.
appreciate you. Go catch a bunch of them, man. We'll be watching.
All right, we'll see you. Take care.
See ya. Yeah, that's just a classy dude, man. I liked him the first time I talked to him, and what a great technician he is. This format that they have out there now for MLF, I think guys are going to be really surprised how much maybe not surprised that he comes out on top more so than not because you've got an old school technician who's really smart on new technology. That's a deadly combination in my opinion. So I am thrilled for him. Just a great guy. And thank you for all of you joining us tonight. If you just follow Jim Crowley Outdoors on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and TikTok, you'll always know what we're up to. And so please do that. I want to give you some discount codes like we always do. First discount code here from our friends over at Lure Parts Online. And of course, there's a code JC Outdoors 10. Guys, please check out the new Bass Academy lineup of baits and everything that we have from Lure Parts Online. You're not only going to be impressed with the prices, but you're going to be impressed with what we did. On our plastics line, we use both floating and sinking plastic. We're going to detail everything for you. And coming more this year, you're going to see more short videos of how the products look underwater. We've done that with a lot of our products at Lure Parts, so you can see before you decide if you want to buy or not. Okay, so go to Lure Parts Online. Not only are we the #1 place for anything and everything when it comes to building lures, tying flies, and just about anything else when it comes to fishing, but a great new line of fishing products from our Bass Academy. So check that out at lurepartsonline.com. Now, my friends at KastKing, thanks to all of you. I just had a meeting with KastKing this morning, 2 years in a row. I was fortunate enough to be the #1 affiliate for KastKing, and that is because my audience rocks. And you guys have taken advantage of a lot of the discounts, including the code that I'm showing you there tonight, and you've been thrilled with the products. You love the customer service when it's there. You love the products. I've been hearing it all show season. So thank you so very much for that. And just so you know, just about 70 new products coming out this year at KastKing, including some incredible stuff. So if you're interested in anything at KastKing, please put in that code at checkout, JC52AFF, and you'll save 20% every single time you buy from KastKing. Now, friends over at Wired to Fish Coffee, I am finishing up. There you go. Another good one down the hatch right there. As you know, I all love caffeine, and no other coffee company gives back to our sport, the sport of fishing, clean water, and to faith-based initiatives. If you're interested in really good coffee, please give my friends over at Wired to Fish Coffee a try. Very economical price coffee, extremely great taste with very little aftertaste. Everybody who's tried it that I've turned on said this is exceptional coffee. So please go to wiredtofishcoffee.com, put in the code SlickFish, you'll get 15% off right there. Now, our friends over at Mudhole, I think if you sign up for the Mudhole newsletter, there is now 10% off of an order. So please go to Mudhole. Plus, they always have sales going on. My Jim Crowley Signature Series rod kits are there. So that's the Ned Rig kit, the Jerkbait Wacky Worm kit, and the Bladed Jig Rod kit. If you're interested in learning to build, no finer place to start. That's where I learned to build rods, is at Mudhole. So you can easily go there and do that. As well as if you are an experienced rod builder, then you probably get most of your products from Mudhole. And so check that out. There's a lot of great stuff there at Mudhole with #1 in customer service. Everybody at Mudhole builds rods, and they want to make sure you have the absolute best stuff to do it. Our friends over at Dakota Lithium have also provided us with a discount code. And their lithium batteries have an 11-year warranty. They support our sport of fishing extremely well. And if you're looking for a great battery, that's what's in my boats. Please go to Dakota Lithium Batteries, put in the code SlickFish10, and you'll get 10% off right there. Now, our friends over at Shields, their Fish Fest is coming up March 7th and 8th. I will be there March 8th. I'll be there for Rapala. And I think I might have a seminar too. I haven't heard yet, but hopefully I'll hear that there. But anyway, I will be there at the Shields in Springfield, Illinois. So hopefully we'll be able to see all of you there, or you can check us out there. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you all for being here. Had an absolutely great time. I want to thank Justin Lucas again for an absolutely fantastic time. And as I always tell you, I wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for my awesome audience. We thank you. We thank Lure Parts Online, KastKing, Wired to Fish, Coffee, Mudhole, Dakota Lithium, and Shields. I hope you all have a great rest of the week. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. We'll see you soon.